Today's gripping PowerBook shenanigans are brought to you by Squarespace. But more on that in a bit. I have been putting off making this video for a long time because today we're revisiting something horrible that happened almost a year ago. Quite possibly the worst thing that has ever happened to me. Okay, maybe not the worst thing. I was attacked by a swarm of bees as a kid. But certainly the worst thing ever involving a vintage Mac, because last year I finally found one of my absolute holy grail machines, the elusive PowerBook 2400c made by IBM, fully working. Then I took it apart and it never turned back on again. So today we're going to try and set things right through the cunning use of a second, slightly broken PowerBook 2400c from Japan. So stay tuned. And if you enjoy becoming emotionally invested in ridiculously souped up hunks of 90s plastic and silicon, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. I don't always teeter on the brink of sanity, but when I do, there's usually a PowerPC processor involved. Okay, so maybe I'm being a little too hard on myself here. While it's true that my 2400c did work when I first got it, it was far from being in perfect condition. In fact, lurking inside was an absolute horror show. To explain this, let's have an overly dramatic, spooky story. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. "25 years ago, in the dark ages of 1997, the PowerBook 2400c was released to the delight of portable Mac enthusiasts. But lurking inside every 2400c was a dark secret, buried beneath tens of screws and annoyingly difficult to access was a PRAM battery. Oh sure, it would save your date and settings. At first, but over time, each and every PRAM battery would endure a horrifying transformation into a leaky mess of corrosive blue gunk. Some after 10 years, some after 15, maybe yours got 20. But by now, each and every 2400c PRAM battery has begun corroding and consuming this poor, beautiful machine from the inside out. Ooh. Despite the horrific time bomb lurking inside, the 2400c is a very special machine. It was the smallest, lightest Mac laptop until the MacBook Air a decade later. It's extremely powerful, has this beautiful screen, and it's quite upgradable. And very hard to find. They were only ever released in Japan and the US, and they were never a huge hit, although they have a dedicated fan base. And the fact that they explode their insides certainly doesn't help. If you'd like to know more about what makes this machine so special, check out my original video right here. It's a little older, so the production value isn't quite there, but you'll be able to watch a grown man die on the inside as his untempered enthusiasm crumbles into the abyss of a non-booting PowerBook. Okay, that's enough goofing around. Let's see if we can build a G3-powered, maxed-out PowerBook 2400c from these two broken machines. Okay, now before we really risk everything and tear into these PowerBooks, I want to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. Create a fast, beautiful, and rich web experience for your business or brand using Squarespace's powerful all-in-one platform. It's really easy to get started. Like, say I wanted to build a website all about how the PowerBook 2400c was the one and only absolute perfect Macintosh portable. Not only could I build it in minutes with Squarespace, but it would be well designed, responsive, and mobile friendly. There's a ton of beautiful templates that I could choose to start from. With Squarespace's extensive built-in toolset, I can also optimize for SEO, manage a mailing list, check my analytics, and much more. So check out squarespace.com/actionretro today for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use code ActionRetro to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Okay, so let's take a look at the two machines that we're working with. They're very similar, other than, of course, this is the lovely Japanese keyboard here, except this one has the 240 megahertz PowerPC 603E, whereas this one is only 180 megahertz. Additionally, this slightly later 2400C has card bus compliant PC card slots, whereas this one does not, although you can hack the motherboard a little bit. And hopefully by combining these two machines, we will have one excellent condition, fully working 2400C, in which we can upgrade with the impossible to find maximum RAM for 112 megabytes and a G3 processor. And we'll also shove an SSD in here. And yeah, with the card bus compliance, we should be able to get Wi-Fi and also macOS 10 running on this thing, which I know that's ridiculous, but that's what I want. So prior to me completely murdering our American 2400C, this had a beautiful, bright, crisp, active matrix display. But now, unfortunately, when you plug it in, you get this just steady green light on the sleep indicator, which I've read is called the green light of death. And yeah, that's unfortunate. But this Japanese one was listed as not working, doesn't boot, and it has this kind of wavy texture on the screen. But it has one important feature that I was looking for. This thing chimes. The seller had it listed actually as doesn't work, doesn't boot, but plays the Mac song. And yeah, it chimes. Now it does chime immediately when you plug it in, which leads me to suspect that someone has already removed the PRAM battery, or it's degraded to the point where the system can't detect it. Hey, there we go. Flashing floppy. So I guess the hard drive doesn't work, even though I can hear it in there. I think we can combine these two machines and take the beautiful screen out of this one, install it into here, maybe keep the back plastic of that screen because this lid is much nicer. Keep this lovely Japanese keyboard, and yeah, we can have a lovely working 2400C. Now, these are quite a pain to take apart, and we are going to have to take it all the way apart to get to where the battery might be and also to get to where the processor is for that upgrade. But actually, iFixit, surprisingly, has a very nice guide with pictures on disassembly, so I will link that in the description below. But for now, montage. Oh god, the battery is definitely still there, and just look at this devastation. There is blue gunk everywhere. It's eaten into the plastic frame, and we're gonna have to carefully clean this thing up. And luckily, I'm a lot better at stuff like that now than I was the first time I took one of these apart, so hopefully we can save this machine. Okay, so I've got the two display units here, and as you can see, the display for the 2400C 240 has this weird texture in here. I don't know what's happened, some kind of delamination or something. But yeah, the display does not work. The 180, however, is beautiful. So what I want to do is take the display and the back casing from this one, which are in great condition, and translate it here. So really all that's going to mean is I'm going to take the front panel off of this, put it on this, and install this on our hopefully working PowerBook. Okay, I've got the new screen on here. Let's plug it in and see if it lights up. Yes! Oh, thank goodness. just look how far this blue gunk traveled. The battery's over here, but somehow it's made its way all the way over here to this connector. I don't even understand how that's possible. I guess it kind of wicked along the wires. Oh my God. Okay, so I spent quite a while trying to get rid of all of the blue plague on everything, and it was not easy. I scraped it away with this actually made for a nice little pick to get under stuff. I used an X-Acto knife to scrape it away. Got some big chunks off with my nice Kershaw knife, courtesy of my younger brother. And I went through about 500 cotton swabs. Just look at how much damage it did to the structure here. It just completely ate away the coating, and in some cases kind of, you can see it dissolving the plastic itself. But it's done now. And yeah, we still haven't tested this. In fact, we can't really test it unless we put this most of the way back together. But it means we're going to go ahead and just install our G3 upgrade card, which, oh man, I am so excited for this. Yeah, I've had this for quite a while. This is the 320 megahertz G3 upgrade card. There's only one card faster than this, a 400, which is even more impossible to find than this stuff. Oh, and I guess we'll YOLO an mSATA SSD in here while we have it apart, since it is very difficult to get all the way down to the hard drive. Although I have read that these Ablecon adapters work well in these machines, so hopefully this is not a variable and it'll just work. And our 96 megabytes of RAM to get our 112 total. Okay, I have it mostly back together. Processor is in, RAM is in, screen is connected. All the screws that need to be in are in. And yeah, oh my God, this is the moment of truth. We're going to plug it in and see if it works. Oh my God, my heart is literally racing right now. It might just power up immediately when I plug it in. So let's cross our fingers for a chime. Oh, yes! Oh, it's alive! Oh my God. I did not want to have to end the video here. Oh, it chimed. And there's the screen. It is alive. Just the flashing floppy disk, and I couldn't ask for anything more. Okay, so now I think we should try to install macOS 9.1 on the SSD to make sure that works before we put the whole thing back together, because yeah, this thing is not easy to take apart and it's very nerve-wracking. So I have the RASCuzzy all ready to go. Okay, well, unfortunately, I am fairly certain that some part of the IDE in this machine has fallen victim to that blue carnage from the battery leakage. And how do I know this? Well, simple deduction by way of using all of these different IDE adapters, and none of them worked. And then I even tried a whole bunch of regular IDE hard drives and they don't work. So yeah, that's unfortunate because everything else about this machine is working, and I've now taken it apart and putting it back together about 1,000 times, which yeah, I've already cracked a little standoff in there doing that, and had to glue it back together. So yeah, I looked carefully over the board with a magnifying glass, and I couldn't see any stuff stuck in the IDE connector. I sprayed it with some deoxit, and that didn't help. So I'm kind of at a loss. I think the next step would be to run this motherboard through like an ultrasonic cleaner, or maybe get a microscope and take a very close look. But I don't have either of those two things, so that's going to have to wait. In the meantime, I do have an idea. You might remember this guy from our brother word processor shenanigans. We use this to load Wolfenstein 3D and Linux on it. And yeah, I said in that video, this thing works in just about anything. And I've done a little bit of research, and it does seem like this PowerBook can boot off of a PC card. So I have this CF card here, which I think was in my PowerMac G3, and it should have macOS 9 on there. So let's see if we can boot from this. Hey look, it's true. This thing is booting up off of the CF card. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, it's not the ideal solution because there's no real hard drive in here, but it's a Band-Aid, and more importantly, it's a Band-Aid that works and should let me play around with this machine until, I get around to diagnosing whatever the heck is wrong with IDE on this thing. Oh yeah, PowerBook G3, 320 megahertz. We have our 112 megs of maxed out memory. So that's pretty sweet. I mean, we don't actually have a hard drive. We're running off of a CF card in PC Card 2, but I mean, it works, you know? This computer is 90% of the way there. But that's all right. That's not going to stop us from enjoying this machine for my favorite activity, the horribly optimized Macintosh Wolfenstein 3D. Oh yeah, look at that. Buttery smooth. Alt. It's almost too fast. Oh, yeah, this is awesome. This is all I wanted. Oh my god, it's too fast. I'll have to set the speed governor or something. The speed governor is on. Maybe oh my god. Look at that. It's so fast on here. Yeah, I'm just gonna play it on hyperspeed. Why is that so funny? I guess I'm just not used to playing this game at its correct speed. I'm always playing it on something that's way too slow for it. And this keyboard is just fantastic. I mean, it's not a full-size keyboard, but it's just fine for playing this game. You can really feel when they hit the bottom, they don't just kind of squish out in the end. Oh, it's wonderful. All right. Oh, so exciting. This is amazing. I love it so much. Wow. Yeah! Okay, so that'll do it for today's video. I think it's mostly a redemption story. This thing works now. And I'm so excited to have it. I mean, I've always wanted a PowerBook 2400c. I never thought I'd be able to find one or have one or tinker with one. It's another machine that, thanks to all of you, I'm able to tinker with and do stuff with and share with all of you. And that's just so exciting. Now, there is that one issue that I can't figure out. Doesn't see anything plugged into IDE. I'm very thankful that it can boot from the CF card in the PC card. And it works, you know, you'd never know just by using it, but it's still not 100%. So I really think the next thing to do would be ultrasonically clean this thing. Maybe there's a little piece of blue gunk stuck inside the IDE connector. I don't know, I sprayed deoxit in there, didn't make a difference. But I'm confident that we'll figure that out and have a perfect working G3 upgraded max memoried PowerBook 2400c. Oh, and on a whim, I decided to try the old processor card from this machine in the other PowerBook, and guess what? Still dead. But if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more PowerBook shenanigans like this, please subscribe down below, and thank you very much for watching. And a special thanks to Alberto Guier, Camilla Noceda, Chris Allegretta, Chris Biggs, sorry for pronouncing your name wrong before, Chris Calderon, Chris Nelson, Cobalt Retro Tech, Control-Alt-Reese, Daniel Hubbard, Dwight Spencer, Greg from Hrutk Mods, Paul Spencer, Ryan, Scott Thompson, and Sutek, who are my highest tiered patrons, and all of my Patreon supporters for helping to make these shenanigans possible.